And today we're going to be talking about why doing what we love should not be a chore. How having an outsourced admin can really improve your business and quality of life. So let's get started. So we've definitely all heard that outsourcing can save us time, but is it worth it? So it's really the biggest question that I get asked time and time again. And why bother? Why not just hire a part-time admin or do it all myself? Those are the two different options, right? So what we're going to cover today is 5 business tasks to outsource and why we would. Benefits of staying local when using remote services, in my opinion, super important. Keeping your expectations in check. This is a big one that I have to really consult with a lot with new clients who aren't quite familiar with how outsourcing works. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then finally, hiring versus outsourcing. California has a new law called AB 5 that just started on January 1st of 2020 here. So no matter when you're listening to this, it will be relatively new. And it's putting a wrench in a lot of professional services industries. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like from an anecdotal standpoint. It's not legal. Let me make that clear. So pain point 1, and I want to clarify what that means by pain point. Really, when I'm consulting with new clients, it's really about what are those pain points that they're feeling on a day-to-day basis. And client communication and customer service is really the top need that we see for our clients. And what that looks like is really passing off kind of incidental communications. As business owners, especially owners, we have from the get-go so many people to communicate with. Our network that we're finding leads through, our vendors, our staff. There's so many different sectors of our business that we are communicating with, and so much of that is incidental, right? It's just acknowledging that you're receiving messages, that sort of thing. So there's a couple of ways that this can look when you outsource that type of incidental communication. And it's really, hey, I'm copying my assistant to handle that for you. And that can look really good for your brand. So even if you are just a sole owner, a sole prop, let's say, and it's just you behind a computer or you behind, whatever it is that you're doing all day, you can look like you have an assistant by outsourcing this type of thing. And so you simply just forward that email, and your assistant or your outsourced admin can handle that for you. And that provides not only great brand identity, but really good customer service, because of course the admin is going to be able to get back to those people a lot sooner than you probably could with the limited time that you have. Excuse me. And then why bother outsourcing this? Why not just hire a part-time admin or like I said, handle it yourself? Again, so much of what we do, so many of our communications are incidental. So you don't need to be handling them all yourself as the owner of the business. This is especially important as you start to scale and grow, because you need time to, you need your time to be spent on focusing on that and those efforts and getting out there and meeting people and making, building relationships. Answering emails even for an hour a day could be so much better spent doing something more focused on business development at the small stages. So it also allows you to focus on crucial communications, of course. So when you have a barrage of emails, let's say 100 emails a day that you're getting, which a lot of our clients are at that point, maybe 30 of those, 20 of those are really important for you to be the one to reply or to take action on that. The rest of them can be handled by that outsourced admin. So it helps you focus on what's really important in your email inbox. And super important right now, for those of us who are juggling work and personal lives during this crisis or after. I know it's going to go on for a long time. So for those of us who are mixing those elements right now of our lives, we have limited time. And so more than ever, that time needs to be spent doing things that are going to grow our business and help our business. And those are the things that only really you can do. So pass off stuff like this to an outsourced admin. Pain point number 2 that we hear a lot of is, hey, I need a CRM, but I don't have time to research which one works best for my business, right? And that's why a lot of what we do is research and product vetting. So really what this looks like is, there are so many programs out there. If somebody asks us, I need a CRM, or I need a social media scheduler, or I need a meeting space, the hours that go into researching what specific CRM or what specific, payroll company works best for, especially a small business with very, niche needs. It takes a long time, and owners don't usually have that time. So this is a perfect opportunity to provide or to use an outsourced admin to provide you that time back, right? And most importantly, it is a chance to vet products in a way that you don't have a chance to do. So not only is it saving you time generally, but that time would really be spent by really seriously looking into what are the features of each individual product and what does my business need, and matching those two to your best fit, right? You don't have time to do that. And so it really ensures, outsourcing it really ensures that you're not settling for a subpar program, whether that's a subpar CRM or payroll vendor or anything like that. Those are not things you want to scrimp on. Those are not things you want to settle on. You want to make sure that it fits best for your business. And the main reason for that is because time and time again, I see, new owner founders of small businesses or startups who are reluctant to spend this time doing this kind of product vetting, and so they just jump into the first one that they hear about from their friend or from their colleague, and guess what? In 3 to 6 months, it's not working for them, and so they have to switch to another one, and all of that time is spent not being effective or efficient, and so an outsourced admin can really prevent all of that. So that's super helpful. Pain point number 3, materials design, prep, and production. So this is really one that so many of our clients specifically are in the professional services kind of consulting sector, right? So they're executive coaches or leadership development consultants or OD consultants. And really what they're doing is getting into companies, whether in person or virtually now, and they're consulting with how to create cultural change or improve relationships among colleagues and things like that. And that requires materials. It requires workshop prep. So think about the idea that as soon as you nab that contract, as soon as you sign with that client and you set out a plan for what that service of yours is going to look like, imagine walking into the room and having everything ready to go. So all of that period in between, all of those logistical steps in between of creating that collateral that with your branded soft or hard documents, meaning your PowerPoint that has your brand on it, or your physical handouts that have that branding to it, those workbooks, those evaluation forms, how much time do you usually spend creating all of that? And think about how much time that could save you to outsource it. And so really what you're doing is you're sending your admin the parameters, the bullet points of what you really want to see, and then you're receiving that finished product. So again, you're sending out that information, you've signed with the client, this is what I need, and then you walk into the room and everything's there and ready to go. And everything in between those two steps is really handled by your outsourced admin. And why bother outsourcing it? Again, the value that you add to your business is your ideas. It's not necessarily your ability to create a Word document, right? Or a PowerPoint, let's say. Put the basic text in there that you want, and then let your outsourced admin create your PowerPoint design, brand it, put the images on there that you like, and save those hours to actually create the PowerPoint itself. The content is what has to come from you, not the idea of creating it, right? Or creating the document. So get those ideas out of your brain and walk into your client meeting. And your outsourced admin is going to handle everything in between. So your pain point 4, you see this so much, and this is, I think, one of the most variable and personal pain points that we see is calendar and schedule management. This can look like anything in between. Hey, I want people to be able to put the link on my email signature or my website and just simply schedule a phone appointment or a meeting with me. And we simply, set up the back end of that and the infrastructure, and we maintain it as their availability, shifts and things like that. So it's the setup and the infrastructure behind the scenes of people being able to schedule with you. So it can look as simple as that, or it can look as personal and kind of hands-on as you having a scheduler, right? So, for example, a political candidate that we had at one point a couple years ago, back in 2018 elections, he had a 1.5-year long campaign to build up to that primary, and guess what? He had a scheduler in us, even though we don't necessarily do that, all day, every day, but to people who he was meeting and scheduling calls with, he got to say, hey, I'm going to copy my scheduler and she's going to get you set up with a phone appointment or a meeting with me. And how great did that look for him to have that in his back pocket? So again, this is increasing your brand value and your brand image, but it's also just saving you tons of time. And especially as far as why bother outsourcing it, you're likely spending hours a month doing this, either scheduling or rescheduling specifically. We see lots and lots of reschedules with people who are busy, like you, who are owner founders or just managers of their small business, and they're constantly having to reschedule or being asked to reschedule. And your outsourced admin should be able to handle the volume of that much quicker than you can at this point. Pain point number 5, transcription and data entry. And this often gets confused with this idea that you can handle, or that you can, have a transcription vendor, transcription service, which is really speech to text. Just transform your, recorded voice into words, and it's done. Ideally, in a perfect world, that would be great. Unfortunately, those services either charge per minute of audio, so that can get real pricey real fast. And accuracy is often an issue. So often what ends up happening, especially if you're a new business and you're trying to be budget conscious and you're spending less than an ideal transcription service would charge, is you have it transcribed for you automatically by these services, and then you have to go back and edit all of the mistakes. We had a client with a last name that was continuously being transcribed into something not appropriate. So it was that kind of catch that we had to make sure to point out. And those are the types of things that you can avoid by outsourcing transcription. So, and as far as data goes, let's talk about the other aspect of transcription first. So PDFs and JPEGs, right? Those are things that are not easily transcribed, especially if you don't have a way to convert PDFs to a Word document, things like that. Or if you take a picture of a slide that you see at a presentation that you love, or you take a picture of something that you see somewhere else, somebody else's material or handout, let's say, that you want to kind of rebrand into your own, if you're allowed to, of course. Well, what do you do with that JPEG or that PDF? You have to sit there and transcribe everything that's on it. So that's a perfect opportunity to hand it off to an admin to do that for you and save you that time. And the same thing with data entry. We track so many important pieces of data for our clients' businesses. And what this can look like is, for events, who are the vendors, and making sure that all of that communication with the vendors and logistics with those vendors are settled, and that all of that's tracked, so you know exactly where each vendor stands along the process of planning that event up until event day, right? So you know exactly who's showing up and exactly who signed the contracts and exactly who's paid their vendor's seat and so forth. And all of that can be tracked. Well, you need the data there, right? But you don't necessarily need to spend time entering that data. So that's a perfect example of something that you can outsource to an admin who can spend the time doing that behind the scenes for you, so that you can really focus on building those relationships with those vendors and then passing them off to your admins to handle the logistical part and the tracking of it, okay? So again, you want to spend time analyzing your data to inform your business decisions and not spending time entering it. Super important. Other pain points, kind of bonus ideas, as it were, processes and systems management. So what this can look like is really, hey, I have this, way that I have to send out these assessments to my clients, but I don't know how to get them the code that they need to take the assessment, and I don't know, what kind of email template to send them and what wording that is, and there's a process to that, right? There's, you have to contact the client to figure out who the list is, the participant list of your workshop. You have to then, reach out to that participant list and let them know each code that they individually have to take, and then you have to receive those results from that assessment on the back end in that assessment program, whatever it is you're using, and you have to track all those results and then get them to your whatever assessment tool you're using to consult with that company, and there's a process to all of that. And so a lot of clients ask us, hey, I don't know how to create that process, or that they often even don't know that they need a process in play. They kind of just are in survival mode along the steps of each of those pieces of the system. And so we really get in there and say, okay, where are the holes, right? Where are the gaps in what you could be creating for processes and systems? And then not only are we creating that for them, but we're then managing them as they go, if that's, in the budget, of course. But it really is saving our clients a lot of time to handle that piece of it. A lot of small business owners come to the idea of owning a business with a passion. They come to it with ideas in mind. They don't necessarily, you may not necessarily have this idea of how to run the business itself, the operations behind it. And so outsourcing those types of process and systems management really comes in handy for that. Social media posting as well, and email campaigns. Again, this is your content, and you don't need to spend the time organizing and laying out and formatting this content in order to post. So you have a quote, or you have ideas, or you have, images that you want to get out to your network. Great, have them all in a Google Drive folder, and share that with your outsourced admin, and that admin is the one to then post all of that. So yes, you're creating your content as you should be, or you're working with a strategist to create the content for you, let's say. But then that strategist, we don't necessarily need to, pay that higher hourly rate or flat fee to a social media strategist to just simply post it, right? That posting is relatively simple process, and that's the piece that then can be outsourced to just an admin. And we actually have a few clients that we collaborate with the social media strategist or the marketing strategist, where they're actually coming up with the business development piece of it, and we're simply implementing that. And that works really well from a budget standpoint for our clients. So something to think about. Your simple bookkeeping, and I specify simple because you don't always need to hire a full-fledged certified bookkeeper or accountant to handle your basic books. A lot of small business owners think that they either need to hire an actual bookkeeper, a certified bookkeeper who does this every day, or they have to do it themselves. Your outsourced admin could be able to, and in my opinion, should be able to do it for you, right? So bookkeeping is relatively simple. It takes some education about it, sure, but a good admin, a comprehensive admin who offers lots of different services like we do, should be able to do your basic books. So if you have basic books, and most of us in the professional services industries do, this is the perfect thing to outsource. Copy editing, same thing. So this is another, in fact, I'll just put all these two: copy editing, website design, and management of that website. All three of those are really creative elements of your business that you need to have done and don't necessarily have the time to focus on. So it's really, can be a crucial time saver to outsource to this would be more of a comprehensive admin as well. EtterOps, our company, offers an admin side and it offers a creative side. And this is what our creative side does, right? So we do all the copy editing for our clients' content, sometimes even ghostwriting because we have a writer on staff. We do a lot of website design. So think of those DIY websites, right? Those do-it-yourself sites that Squarespace and Wix and even some WordPress sites are pretty easy to do on your own, but it's really about the time saver. Do you want to spend the hours that it takes to design all of that on your own? If you do, fantastic, great, go for it. But if you don't have that time and you don't want, it's not really in your wheelhouse to be creative in that way, it's definitely not in mine. That's why I have somebody on staff to do it for me. Then this is a perfect thing to pass off. Yes, you could do that yourself. You could copy edit yourself. You could manage your website yourself. But again, it's what is your time worth? And then finally, an accountability partner. So I see this a lot where founders of small businesses are so busy and they have so many tasks that they want to get to, but they don't have the energy to really hold themselves accountable for them. So I actually have several calls a week that are regular weekly calls with our clients who need an accountability partner. And I track all of their to-dos so that we can keep track of what they've accomplished, what they still have left to do. And it really supports them in a way that that they can't support themselves because it's too much to think about as far as their long task list, right? So those are some other ways that, some other pain points that we see pretty regularly with our clients and something that a good outsourced administrative company like ours should be able to support you with. So overall takeaways, it's really important to just focus on what only you can do for your business. Everything else can be outsourced. Everything else can have somebody else focusing on it. And in fact, on that note, I spend a lot of time up front with our new clients, really helping them make those lists, right? Spend a week and day to day, just kind of jot down what it is that you could be doing or that you could be passing off. What are those kind of menial tasks that you find yourself doing that you say, oh, I should not be spending my time doing this? Those are the types of things that you outsource. And so taking that week and kind of reflecting on what those things are and coming to the relationship with this type of admin is crucial, because then you have that list to kind of start with, and you know where this relationship is going and what you want them to do. So this, of course, frees up time to grow your business, which is all of us want to do, is grow that business. And when you're spending all of your time on admin tasks, you are your own admin, right? And you're not really growing that business. So free up that time by hiring out an outsourced administrative company. Don't cut corners just to get it done. So again, that's kind of going back to that idea of vetting products and of settling on things just because, okay, fine, it's done. And I can check that off the list. Well, maybe it's not done well. And that's really what an admin could do for you, is spend the behind the scenes time on doing that, task, whatever it is, really well, and being thorough and kind of perfectionist about it, right? There is no one size fits all approach, so don't settle for one. An outsourced admin service really should be customized to fit your needs. So if that need is simply a few hours a month of bookkeeping, or if that need is, 40, 50 hours a month on full-blown business partner support, then that's what that should look like. And your outsourced admin company should be able to provide either end of that, either extreme, okay, or anything in between. We'll get to this later, but that's why it's really important to be able to have that customized solution. And you really want to minimize the number of vendors that you outsource to. So the more all-inclusive, like we've talked about with the copywriting and the website design and the research abilities and the basic admin tasks that are just kind of data entry and basic things like that, they should be able to do those basic tasks all the way to those more project management, process management focused tasks. So that higher level admin and everything in between. If they have the creative component to it like we do, all the better, because then you're not having to also hire a social media person and a marketing person and a sales person and a copywriter. A good comprehensive outsourced administrative company should be able to handle all that for you. So benefits of staying local when using remote services. I really like to think that there's a difference between what people call a virtual assistant and an outsourced administrator. VAs are often really thought of as 100% remote. So not really somebody that you or your clients are going to have a relationship with or going to build any sort of relationship with over time. And so that really limits what they're able to do. Can they provide good customer service to your clients and good communication with your clients when they don't really have, an investment in what it is that you are doing with your business? I don't believe so. And I see that a lot, where people will come to us after they've already tried the VA route, and say to us, well, she just didn't really get it, or he just didn't really, he wasn't really invested, and so things weren't coming back on time and things like that. So an outsourced admin, or team, as it were, in our case, can really feel like a part of your team. You can have a team behind you, kind of representing your brand and your culture of your business, to really provide that consistency that your customers want and need. And that can really increase your brand. So it's kind of like a virtual business partner in that way. Actually, I've been told that a couple times by our clients. And the way that we personally work with that is, I'm kind of, the overall project manager, right? So I kind of talk about all of these pain points with our new clients. I figure out who on our team can really handle each one of those aspects and those tasks that they need, and then I delegate accordingly. And so what they get is a direct line to each of their facets of their business through me and through the people who are working on their different pieces of their business on our team. And so they have this kind of business partner in a way, because they get to not only strategize and have recommendations from us as we see what their business is all about and how it can be supported on a process standpoint, but they also just get to have stuff done, right? So it's a great option for people who need kind of that all encompassing partner in that way. Many VAs are overseas, as we all know. This can make urgent tasks really difficult due to time differences. So a lot of folks will come to me and say, yeah, I was emailing, our VA over overseas, and I didn't hear a response until the following evening, and I really needed that task done that day. And so that's something that I hear a lot. So yes, the VA idea is a nice one, and there's definitely a space for it for sure. But when you have a local team or a local admin to really focus on your time zone and your needs right then and there, it eliminates all of that issue. If not local, a VA is really unable to work with anything tangible, of course, right? So they can't go into your office and pick up materials. They can't go in and organize your hard copies and your hard files. They can't create systems around how your office is organized so that you can be most productive during the day. And they can't, go see how your physical calendar and scheduling look, so that they can, maximize an efficient system of scheduling for you. There's all sorts of things that we, even though we are a remote service, we do have the ability, I'd say 5 to 10% of our time is spent kind of going out and really seeing, the physical space of what our clients are dealing with, so that we can maximize that efficiency and that productivity for them. And of course, a non-local VA is not able to do that. So benefits are huge in that way, as far as I'm concerned. VA teams often have package rates, like we were talking about earlier. So whether you use them for an hour a month or 20 hours a month, you still pay that same rate. And that's just really, that retainer. So they have package rates for, let's say, $500 a month for, 30 hours or 20 hours of our time. Well, and then that's just, on retainer. So what if you don't need them for 20 hours when your business slows down in a given month? Or what if you have, seasonal months where your business is typically slower that you're going to expect, but yet you're still in contract for $500 a month for your VA. So those are things to watch out for, and a reason why we have no minimums here at EtterOps. We have no monthly minimums whatsoever, and that's really by design for this reason. Because, our clients are shifting monthly as they're building their new businesses. And even if they have a well-established small business, there's still, times when they have to concentrate on other things, or they don't have time to delegate, or whatever it may be, where they're not able to use us, or they don't have time to really get that to-do list together to hand off to us. So the freedom to know that they can kind of take a month off, or they can, only hand us a couple of things a month, or that next month we'll be able to have the bandwidth on our team to handle their big event of, 30 or 40 hours they need from us that month. That freedom and that ability to be flexible in that way is super, super crucial. as far as I see it, and something that most VA teams do not offer. So all about staying local. Expectations, a big one. Again, this is something that I consult with new clients every time that we sign somebody new. It's super important to understand what you're getting when you outsource. You are not hiring an employee, and it shouldn't look like that. So what you need to do as the business owner is really understand that there's going to be a learning curve, right? We don't know your industry. We're learning that industry alone. We're earning your specific business within your industry. And so for us, there's a learning curve. I always preface relationships with new clients as, those first couple of months, those invoices are going to look a little bit higher than you expect. And that's by nature of that learning curve. And then as those systems and that learning curve kind of dissipates a little bit, and the systems that we are in, that you're hiring us to create for you are created, and then we're on maintenance mode with them, those invoices will go down. And that's really the expectation that we need to have, right? Again, providing all necessary information to get the job done is crucial. An outsourced administrative company cannot get what they need to get done for you that you're asking them to get done without getting from you what we need to do that. So making sure that you provide all the necessary information to get that job done or to get that task or project done is really important, and in a timely manner, right? If you have a deadline of, hey, I want this done by Friday, but you don't get what we need to get that task done for you until Wednesday, well, you have to give a little leeway there. And so those expectations set up front are really important. Respond to questions. So a good admin should really ask a lot of questions. Again, it's that learning curve. And what comes from that learning curve is questions, and answers are really important. Because if we don't have a chance to receive from you the feedback that we need, then we can't understand your business, and we can't understand what it is that your needs really are about in a big picture sense, right? So we may know that the specific task that needs to get done, but if we don't know how that fits in the context of what you're using that task for, let's say, it's tough for us to kind of know where our piece fits into the puzzle. And so when we ask questions about that or about just the task in general, it's super important to get back to your admin right away or as soon as possible and answer those, because the sooner that you do that, sooner that they can solve that problem or finish that task for you. Again, realize that they're not an employee. Your outsourced admin is an outsourced admin. They have other clients, right? We have 24 clients right now, and we're continuing to grow. And that's a wonderful thing for our company, but sometimes, we have clients who think that they're our only client, and we want them to feel that way, of course. And we want them to know that we are there for them, and we are going to respond in a efficient manner, and we're going to get the task done by the deadline, and on and on and on. But there needs to be a little bit of understanding that we are not at your side at all times doing everything that you need us to do immediately. So again, when an admin sets up expectations up front, there should be, hey, we get back to people within 24 hours as far as responding to emails. There should be expectations like that are setting them aside from or apart from having an employee who really is there every day, all day, or even part-time, able to concentrate on just your business at all times. An outsourced admin is not going to be that way, but most small business owners and founders do not need that. So that's why it's really important to understand that that's not what you're getting. And the nice thing is, you don't have all that comes with having to pay an employee. We'll talk about that in a second. So you get really the benefits without taking on the costs. Recognize good work. Super important. A simple thank you is fantastic. It's really all we need. Hey, thanks for getting that done. Great. That just made my day. And the more that you can recognize that the person behind your outsourced admin is a person, and there's a relationship there that can be built if you want to go that route. The more invested that your admin will be, right? And so just recognize good work like you normally would with an employee. What you need to expect from your admin: willingness to learn your industry. again, with the idea that the VA or services like, just kind of Fiverr or Upwork, there's lots of wonderful services online that are just doing quick tasks and getting them done. With an outsourced admin that's kind of all-encompassing, like we've talked about, there needs to be a willingness to really learn your industry and your business within that, and where you fit, right? And if there's not, again, that relationship is going to be not as effective as it would if that admin is really willing to kind of get in there and get their feet wet in what you're doing. Again, we talked about higher invoices at first. Tiered pricing. Not all tasks are created equal. So we talked about everything from basic data entry all the way to process management and creation and copywriting. Well, those are two very different levels of tasks, and the pricing tiers should really reflect that. So we have 4 levels of pricing based on the kind of complexity or what we are bringing to the task, right? And that should be seen in any administrative companies' offerings. Again, why the retainer aspect and the package aspect of $500 a month for 20 hours or whatever it is problematic for me, because am I paying you $500 a month to do data entry for 20 hours, or am I paying you $500 a month to do 20 hours of copywriting, which really should be at a higher rate? And so you want to see not only the business that you're outsourcing to is valuing your time and your budget, but valuing themselves, right? So there's that aspect as well. Different talent set than yours. So one expectation that is really interesting that, again, I have to kind of consult with new clients on is there's a reason that you're hiring an outsourced admin. It's because a big reason is because the tasks that you're outsourcing are not in your wheelhouse. They're not necessarily things that you are excited about. And often it's not things that you're really skilled at or really need to be. And so understanding that your admin is going to come from a completely different filter of what things look like, how things get done, productivity, efficiency, all of that, detail-oriented way of looking at things. Realize that that's going to be much different than yours, and that's expected and should be valued, right? So if you are the ideas person, then let your outsourced admin be the nitpicky, detailed person that gets in there and sees how to maximize those ideas of yours, and value that instead of being frustrated with it. It's really easy to get frustrated with somebody who doesn't see the big picture idea that you do, but that's your role, and that your outsourced admin will have theirs. Timely responses and deadlines met. So it's non-negotiable for me, and it should be non-negotiable for any admin. You're not hiring or you're not bringing on somebody to support you who will miss deadlines or respond late. So just make sure that that's an expectation from your admin from the get-go. High level of professionalism. So a lot of the comments that I get when people come to us is, hey, I had so-and-so on our staff, or I outsourced, this to so-and-so, and there just wasn't that level of professionalism that I really need in order for my clients and my customers to feel consistently, served. And so you want to make sure that your outsourced admin team brings that level of professionalism to any communications that they have. Professional boundaries, the same thing. Understand that, again, we're people, we have lives, we have, kind of that 8 to 5 general, hours or whatever it is that they've set up, and know that that there are boundaries to that on both ends, right? So you shouldn't really necessarily receive getting texts or emails at 10 o'clock at night, nor should you be texting your admin at 10 o'clock at night. So just make sure that as you enter into a relationship with an outsourced administrative team, that you're expecting that on both ends. So finally, I just wanted to do a quick note here about this new 85 law that I mentioned up front. This is California's new law as of January 1st, 2020. So Before I talk about any of this, again, just a quick note that this is not at all legal advice. I'm not a lawyer by any means. This is just anecdotal experience that I've seen since then. And I really feel like it's important because so many of us in the professional services field and others, we want the support, and yet we don't necessarily know how to stay within the law to get that support that we need. What I hear most often from people is, oh yeah, I've heard of that. That's a big problem. If you're a business owner, a small business owner especially, and you have contractors on your books, it's a big problem if you don't know exactly what that law is, because most of the time, your contractors should be employees. And so making sure that you have a real good understanding of what that AB5 law entails, especially here in California, or only here in California, is super crucial. So it's called the ABC test, and it's really a test that you need to do today for any contractors that you have on your books. And it's basically boils down to this: A, you cannot be their manager, either in contract or in reality. So in other words, you can't be managing their day-to-day functions. They should be doing that themselves. So it's not like an employee where you would be, having, performance reviews and kind of being any sort of micromanager at all. It can't be either in contract or in kind of day-to-day reality, but the contractor could be able to call one. B, they need to be doing work that is outside the usual course of your business. So this is the one that gets a lot of people in hot water. Unfortunately, so many of us who own small businesses, we just need more of what we do, right? We need more people to do the same things that we're already doing. Those people now in California have to be employees. If they're doing the same work as you're doing in your own business, then you need to hire them by this new law. And that's the biggest upset for people that I hear from. Because why shouldn't they just be able to have a subcontractor, do more of the same and service more clients under our entity? And unfortunately, that's not allowed anymore. At least not with the types of small businesses that we run with. So they need to be doing work that's outside your usual course of business. So for instance, EtterOps, we are doing, all the stuff that we just talked about. So data entry and process management and tracking of vendors and copy editing and all of these things. Well, there's so much in there that has nothing to do with, the actual service that you are offering as a executive consultant, let's say. We are not doing any sort of executive consultant work. We are simply supporting your ability to do that. And so that is what that means as far as doing work that is outside the usual course of your business. As long as that separation is there, then you're good. And then finally, C, they need to have other clients who utilize them for the same type of work. So basically, they need to have their own business. They need to have, they need to be an outsourced administrative company that has more clients than just you, that they're doing the same type of work for. So in order to meet the AB5 law in California, your outsourced admin must meet all three of those criteria. If they don't meet all three, A, B, and C, you have to hire them. And so, again, not a lawyer, but just speaking anecdotally and what I've received from my own business, definitely talk to your lawyer about what that looks like for your own contractors today. And EtterOps LLC, obviously, our company offers a safe option that meets every one of those criteria. So A, B, and C. So never a worry to hire us in that way. So. And that is that. So now get out there and start doing more of what you love and hire that outsourced admin today. You can definitely contact me to schedule a free consultation. My email is kelly@etterops, just my first and last name, and then OPS for operations @gmail.com. And we are found at www.etterops.com. 818-442-3520 is my phone number. Feel free to call anytime. We are located in San Diego, despite my 818 number that I can't yet get rid of. I have LA ties, so. was wonderful to speak with you all today, and have a fantastic day. Thanks so much.